You awaken in darkness. A ragged wind sweeps through broken shutters, carrying the distant whisper of secrets long buried. Fog coils along crumbling corridors, soft and suffocating. In the hush, you hear a faint drip of water, one drop, then another, echoing in the hollow chambers. Shadows flicker at the edge of your vision and vanish. Somewhere deep within, a cry, or was it a lullaby, fades into silence. You have stepped into a world haunted by history. In the heart of Madagascar, high in the mist-shrouded hills, stood a palace built by Queen Ranavalona I, fortress of authority, secrets, and dread. Over time, the palace fell into ruin, and whispers grew. A ghostly version of the palace still lingers in spectral form, cursed to vanish and reappear at the edge of perception. Doors open on their own, portraits bleed, and visitors vanish forever. Tonight, we traverse its haunted halls. We follow its shadows. We seek the vanished queen's ghost, Palisand, the curse that binds it to this world. Welcome to the vanishing of Queen Ranavalona's ghost palace. Brace yourselves. This is not mere legend. The shadows have teeth. Centuries ago, Queen Ranavalona I reigned over the kingdom of Imerina with iron will and implacable power. Her rule, 1828 to 1861, is infamous. She sealed off the realm from foreign influence, enforced isolation, and suppressed dissent with brutal severity. Some called her a tyrant. Others believed she bargained with darker forces to protect her sovereignty. Archives record that under her reign, uncounted souls were executed, exiles dispatched to remote highlands, and rebels tortured in dungeons beneath her palace. In the fog-lit memory of time, that queen's palace became a locus of anguish. After her death and the gradual opening of Madagascar, the royal palace fell into ruin. Yet local villagers near the old site whispered this: on moonless nights, an apparition of the palace appears, whole and vibrant, though it leaves no trace by dawn. Witnesses swore they saw the queen roam its halls, her ghostly form gliding past columns, caught between wrath and regret. Some even claimed she summoned spectral guards, who escorted would-be trespassers into darkness, and they never returned. Our story begins with an explorer named Adrien Leclerc, a 19th-century French scholar obsessed with Madagascar's mysteries. He journeyed to Imerina, mapping ruins by daylight. But at night, he insisted, the palace appeared to him in full glory. In his journal, at midnight, I walked a corridor where no building stood by daylight. Tapestries hung on walls. I passed by a throne room with a spectral queen enthroned in mist. But when dawn came, only empty earth remained. Adrian's journal tells of faint chanting in unknown tongues, cold air rushing through unseen doorways, and footsteps echoing in hallways that shouldn't exist. He sketched the queen's ghost, pale and regal, her face half-shrouded. His final entry: I fear I have walked beyond the veil. I am no longer certain which world I inhabit. Then his notes abruptly end. Modern investigators visited the site, but by day, only scattered stones, vine-choked walls, and wild growth appear. Yet several brave souls went at night, cameras in hand. One team reported that their instruments captured temperature plunges, electromagnetic anomalies, and fleeting apparitions. A photograph showed a pale figure framed in a vanished archway, though, when they returned the next day, the archway was gone. Others described massing shadows, the sound of distant drums, ghostly footsteps on stairs that no longer exist. Locals tell a darker version. Long ago, the queen is said to have dabbled in necromantic rituals. Rumors claim she summoned spirits to protect her throne. Some believed she bound the souls of executed rebels to the palace itself, trapping them in its walls. The curse: the palace would never fully die, for it contained too many souls unwilling to leave. Over time, the queen's spirit too became bound, neither alive nor at rest, compelled to roam. The palace materializes and vanishes in cycles, its existence tied to the balance of spirits and the living world. One daring researcher, Dr. Faiz Rahman, visited the ruins under a new moon. He entered with a small team of guides and local elders. As they crossed open ground, a sudden wall of mist enveloped them. In that mist, faint torchlight glimmered reflections of torches that should not exist. He heard the echo of tambour drums, far off but insistent, calling. His guide froze. Behind them, a doorway formed from fog, wide and silent. They stepped through. Inside, they found themselves in corridors of polished stone, frescoes glowing faintly in spectral moonlight, ghostly guards pacing in silence. Dr. Roman's camera seized a throne room, empty except for a pale silhouette in regal robes, queen or echo. They could not tell. The air smelled of incense and old decay. He heard voices in a language he did not know, chanting something like a lullaby for the dead. His guide whispered that the queen was luring them deeper, offering knowledge or doom. They tried to retrace their steps, but corridors shifted, doors vanished, walls closed in. The palace seemed alive, reconfiguring itself. Some members swore they passed a nursery room where tiny ghostly cradles swayed, though no children lay in them. Others glimpsed ghostly dancers in a ballroom that solidified then dissolved like smoke. One assistant, Maria, vanished. She stepped through a hallway and didn't return. Her screams echoed once, then cut off. The team fled. When they reached open air, dawn was breaking, but they were many miles from where they began. Maria never showed up again. Dr. Rahman later found her camera's last frames, a tightening spiral of corridor walls closing, a pale hand reaching out. The local elders refused to escort anyone there after dark. They say the Queen's ghost punishes intrusion. Some among them speak of a veil hour around midnight, when the spectral palace dimensions overlap with reality for a brief pulse, just a few minutes. Only the foolish or cursed remained behind after that pulse. In these stories, you sense the palace as a living curse. It preys on intruders. Once inside its shifting halls, your path unravels. The Queen appears, beckoning, promising revelation or doom. You may flee, but even escape might lead you into deeper cycles of haunting, until your mind tears. In the dawn, skeptics dismiss these tales as folklore, a ruin, nothing more, they say. But the testimonies mount. Multiple independent researchers, cameras, instruments, lost visitors. The Queen's ghost palace lies somewhere between myth and reality, and many believe the veil between worlds is thin there. As night deepens, the ghost palace stirs again. The veil hour arrives, a hush descends. The mist flows in waves, curling around ruined foundations. In that moment, the spectral palace blooms into full existence. Doors appear where none stood. Corridors stretch into impossible lengths. The Queen's likeness glows at street ends, beckoning with an outstretched hand. From inside, injured screams echo, prayers in unknown tongues, and a mournful lullaby drifts in from a distant wing. If you wander, you may pass by a statue of the Queen weeping, its tears blood red or spectral white. You may glimpse tortured faces in cracked walls, souls wailing in sumptuous chamber ceilings, eyes following you as you pass. Dr. Ramon, in his notes, describes an encounter deeper in the palace. He and his team passed into a cryptid-like wing, where rows of sealed sarcophagi stood. He dared open one and outpoured wisps of cold mist and half-seen apparitions. The room's air froze. Ghostly lamentation filled the space. In that instant, he felt a presence behind him and turned to see the Queen standing inches away, her hand hovering above a sarcophagus. He described her eyes as deep voids, infinite sorrow and cruelty bound into fleshless orbs. She motioned on. He saw within the coffin a figure trembling, perhaps another intruder lost, or one of the captive souls. Then everything went wrong. The coffin's lid slammed shut, the walls cracked, stones shifting. There was a roar, a pressure like being squeezed by unseen arms. The researchers scattered, panicked. Some stumbled into walls that dissolved, vanishing into fog. Only Ramon and one guide made it out, dragging each other through shifting corridors until they burst into moonlit air. Behind them, the palace receded, dissolving in mist. They were bruised, delirious, forever haunted. Other teams tell darker tales. One group claimed they saw dozens of ghostly prisoners, chained and crawling into hidden cells. These souls, they say, begged to be freed. Some researchers offered prayers. The spirits howled and shrank away. Another claimed the Queen's spectre approached him, touched his forehead, and he blacked out. Upon waking, he remembered centuries of sorrow, lives lived and lost, voices begging vengeance. His mind frayed, he was compelled to wander, always searching for the palace that vanished the moment he stopped looking. A twist. Some believe the palace chooses its victims. not just random explorers. It lingers near those drawn by obsession historians, ghost hunters, those who cannot let go of the Queen's story. It senses longing and pulls them in. Another layer, hidden in colonial archives, British and French records mention that in the late 19th century, soldiers were sent to seize the palace site. They reported that some men entered at night and never returned. Their bodies were never recovered. Official record, missing, presumed dead. Local rumors, their spirits joined the palace, becoming part of the curse. Some photographs from that era show faint figures at dusk, hovering over ruined mounds, though dismissed as double exposures. One dramatic incident, in 1923, a French surveyor named Jules Martel came with a camera, obsessed with disproving the ghost tales. He set up camp and placed motion-sensitive film in the night corridors. The next day, he found his camera's smashed tits plates ruined, but stuck behind the ruins was a glass negative showing a hall of columns, torches flickering, the Queen's silhouette looming at end of corridor. He packed up and left immediately. In his journal, he scribbled, "I glimpsed the impossible. I no longer deny the power here. The palace stands outside time." He died years later by his own hand, with the journal's final page torn out. In recent years, drone footage and thermal scans have tried to capture the spectral palace. Some frames record pockets of cold where no walls stand, patches of infrared darkness shaped like corridors. Others show faint outlines of arches and windows. These anomalies last only seconds before dissolving. Experts debate, is this atmospheric glitch, camera artifact, or something beyond physics? But then, a shocking new twist. In 2024, a young Malagasy paranormal researcher named Ina Resoana claimed she entered the palace and returned alive. She recorded dozens of hours inside the shifting halls, documenting spectral guards, flickering murals, ghostly prisoners, and finally, a confrontation with the Queen herself. According to her, the Queen confessed a secret. Beneath the palace lay the tomb of an ancient goddess spirit, older than any record in imagery. The Queen, in her desperation to protect her land from colonial incursion, bound that spirit to her own soul. Thus, the palace's curse was not merely the Queen's doing, but the binding of two powerful spirits, one royal, one divine. Ina recorded the Queen whispering, "I became ghost and guardian both. Your presence weakens my bond. Leave now, or join me." Ina barely escaped. In her footage, she caught a glimpse of that hidden tomb, a cavernal chamber, runic script carved in walls, bones laid in strange patterns. There, she swore she saw the goddess, Spiritan, immense luminescent being, writhing in shadow, hunger and rage in every coil. The Queen's spectral body trembled as she tried to hold it back. The palace halls shook, stone cracked, and doors spun open. Ina fled. After, she became obsessed, plagued by nightmares, hearing cries in the dark. Her mental state deteriorated. She delivered her footage to a team, but many frames are corrupted, missing. Some of her companions say she is now part of the palace's call, swaying near ruin at night, waiting for midnight to draw her back. In the present, some ghost hunting groups visit the area briefly, but seldom cross the boundary into the veil hour. They carry EMF detectors, infrared cameras, and protective talismans. Some report voices speaking in old Malagasy words, "My Azamanda Inga return." Do not lie or see phantom torchlight glint off walls that aren't there. Many feel a dreadful pressure, as if the palace itself tries to discourage exploration. One chilling theory, the palace is expanding. Its spectral footprint reaches beyond the original ruins, overlapping neighboring hills at night. Intruders sometimes intersect with parts of it far from the known sites, some vanish while hiking remote trails, and locals whisper they walked unknowingly into the palace's phantom corridors. The Queen's ghost is said to haunt the periphery a silhouette at dusk above ridgelines, watching explorers attempt to breach the veil. If she senses one coming, the mist draws inward like a net. The veil pulse arrives early for them. They see the palace before others do. They wander, lost, and disappear. Let me take you deeper. Imagine walking at midnight along a ridge. Mist curls, you glimpse the outline of a grand stone wall where no wall stands by day. A ruined courtyard flickers. You cross the threshold and enter a foyer with marble floors slick with unseen damp, and a distant echo like a lullaby sung by children never born. You walk into a hall lined with statues of ancestors. Their eyes move, portraits shift, and one door opens ahead. You feel cold breath behind you. You spin nothing, but the corridor shifts. You follow the Queen's concerto of whispers. Chambers shift. Staircases lead down to crypts with wailing souls. You try to flee, but path changes. Somewhere you slip, fall, gasp, and you awaken in the fields outside. Dawn breaking, but your camera battery is dead. Your mind fragmented, your memory fractured. You carry nightmares, the sense that something reached for you, even touched you in that darkness. Explorers share one warning: do not stay inside after the pulse. The palace will not let you leave easily. Once trapped, you may slip between realms and never return. Your soul may linger, become part of the palace's echo, one more prisoner among the Queen's legion. Perhaps the only escape is through offerings and claim prayers. Offerings, rituals of release, but none has succeeded fully. Some suggest to break the curse, you must locate the Queen's own tomb and sever the binding with the ancient goddess. But no tomb has been definitively found. So the palace remains at the edge of reality, a vanishing palace of horror and memory. The Queen still drifts its halls, still bound, still commanding. The spirits press against walls, awaiting release. And every midnight, the mist draws. The veil hour begins. The palace blooms, and its call reaches out across centuries. Tonight, we have walked the twisted corridors of a palace that should not exist, glimpsed the Queen's ghost drifting between vengeance and sorrow, and felt the pull of a curse stretching across time. The vanishing Queen's palace hovers between worlds, never fully here, never fully gone. Each explorer who dares approach risks losing more than memory. They risk becoming part of the phantom tapestry themselves. Is the princess still chained to that haunted palace? Does the ancient goddess spirit writhe still beneath its foundations? Few know. The curse remains unbroken. The shadows lengthen, and those drawn by obsession may vanish into the veil forever. Until next time, stay safe, and see you in the next Curse History video.